So, Israel is in a really delicate situation right now. And I hope everyone will pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Uh, Iran is threatening to attack Israel in the next 24 hours. So I'm trying to get as much information as I can for people. I can do the impasse prayer. We can go in and take a look. I feel the area that is most vulnerable or is in the north. I feel like there could be chaos and distractions taking place in the West Bank as a distraction, but my main concern, of course, is the north. I've always said that. One of the reasons I feel that way is because as a soldier in the north, I am so determined to fight. I so want this. Ramadan ends tonight. Iran is under a Nazi regime, and that is really how people have to look at this. That Adolf Hitler and his Nazi philosophies were spread to other parts of the world, and that Hitler did that so that Nazism could survive. Nazism was crushed in Europe, but it thrived in the Middle East. And specifically, it thrived in Iran under the current administration. So they created Nazi textbooks and other paraphernalia for the children of Gaza and raised future Nazis, future Nazis on drugs. And on the other side of the equation, we had Netanyahu, who believed that if you are really, really brutal to people, that will teach them not to be brutal back. But he didn't understand that Nazis are brutal by default. And the only thing you do when you're brutal to a person in a Nazi cult is you make them a more brutal Nazi. When I was a young girl living in Jerusalem, it won't be a long story, I promise. I got to hang out with cult deprogrammers, and some of the cults were really pretty scary. And one of the things we learned about cult deprogramming is that the easiest way to deprogram people is to just be kind to them. And to laugh at the silliness of irrational ideas and to create a safe environment for them. So there is a certain percentage of the population that can be deprogrammed from the cult, and there's a certain percentage of the population that cannot be deprogrammed. 56% of Palestinians, aka Israeli Arabs that live as citizens of Israel, feel really positively about Israel and the Jewish people, and they're not having these problems. So the question is, why are there statistical differences? And the reason there are statistical differences is because different people having different experiences, exposed to different forms of education, etc. So unity, whether we like it or not, is the solution. Controlled unity. You don't just let Nazis run amok, Nazis on drugs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm frequently misunderstood on this channel. I'm saying in a controlled environment for the 30% that don't like it, you could do some really amazing things and possibly even change the minds of some of the 70% in the process. And then in the next generation, it might be less and less and less. That's what we learned from cult deprogramming. You give people something better. You give them a way out and you give them a way in. The other thing I want people to really think about right now is how Donald Trump is the worst possible thing that could happen for Israel. Donald Trump is a threat, the biggest threat to Israel's security. Don't be seduced by idols if you care about Israel. Don't be seduced by avodah zarot, right? Avodah zarot, false idols. An embassy moving from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem did nothing to secure Israel, to create peace in the land. But withdrawing US troops from Syria, from the Middle East, which is what Trump did deliberately, gave the green light for Iran to allow Hezbollah to go where America used to be. Do you understand? While you worshiped the golden calf, he was pulling US troops out. And now, because those US troops are gone, we have 150 missiles pointing at Israel from Lebanon and Syria. There are a lot of people that claim to be intelligent, like Ben Shapiro, and yet they don't understand basic Judaism. That war is caused by jealousy. The story of Yaakov, right? And Esau, jealousy, right? Abraham Avinu trying to keep his wife safe, jealousy, coveting. So we want to diffuse. We don't want to be snobs, Ben Shapiro. We don't want to bring that energy on to Klal Yisrael, which includes non-Jews, by the way. We want to create shalom bias, the way Avraham Avinu did, the way Abraham did. And so that means unity and diffusing picking fights and I'm better than you are crap, because the Torah teaches us that's how you get to war. So Netanyahu and Trump did two things that caused this situation. Number one, the antagonism, and number two, pulling US troops out. AIPAC should not be in the pockets of conservatives who betrayed the Jewish people and who betrayed Israel and turned it into a right-wing country that doesn't represent many Israelis. What represents Israelis is unity. We want peace in our homes. We want shalom bayis. We want peace. And I think the next 24 hours is going to be very, very, very critical. And I think that the situation is so bad, we cannot guarantee even that we have support from the Americans anymore, because the Americans are not in the area the way they were prior to the Trump administration. They're not set up there. We're sitting ducks. Do you not understand that? We're sitting ducks because of Trump's pulling US troops out. Stop being seduced by idols and start looking at troop movements. It's a vulnerable time for Israel, and I think that everyone needs to be very clear what's going on and how we got here, and let's just pray for peace. Thank you, everyone. Be well.